Well, isn't this fun? Another episode of the RR Show with me, Vince. And here we go. We got one from NuclearRevenge to start off, a couple of TIFUs, and then the story we're going to wrap up with, which is it's kind of fun. I like this one. Let's go back to your college days and the final story on this RR Show. So let's kick it off right now. From r/NuclearRevenge, posted by user Mem1911. So this one is from Australia. Bogan is as Bogan does. My smoking neighbor won't quit on my driveway. My street is usually quiet. We're mostly all in our own houses, except for the odd one in each street that is a rental due to the area improving. We don't have the usual trouble used to occur, but there are those moments that make things annoying and unpleasant. And the new renter directly across the road from me was one of those unpleasant things that needed to be weeded out. My house is on a slight decline, living on the low side of the street. So my driveway slopes down to my garage, and from the other side, if you sat there, you're invisible to the prying eyes to the houses of the opposite side. So I recently started finding cigarette butts where I place my bins. No biggie. I just started tossing them into it and pondered who could have been smoking here. A few days go by and I was not at work and on a day off cleaning in the garage. Sometimes I would notice my neighbor from across the street pop up on the top end of my driveway, then turn about. This struck me as a little odd. This kept up and I just kept putting the stray butts in the bin, but it annoyed me. Why smoke here and flick them into the bin? It's less than 2 meters from the bin. So I had a chat with the wife, and she did not notice anyone doing this. Despite the obvious disturbed look she gave me, she had no clue. We knew it wasn't anyone here in my house. It's just now the two of us, 8 cats, 2 dogs. They lack opposable thumbs to operate a lighter, so option B, set up a wireless camera with motion detection, and we installed the app on my phone to alert me. This was possibly one of the better ideas. I had man flu that day. Upon looking at most of the security cameras, we settled on some nice little buggers that were easy to set up. Battery operated and lasted for ages. Waterproof to boot. So I hid that under the roof painting at the gap in the shed door, and had just enough room to peek at the driveway and bins. Think corner of a square hole with a round peg in it. A nice big gap to see through. It didn't take long to find where the butts were coming from. The next bloody day, he got caught. Swaggers down my driveway, puts his arse in park on it, and lights one up, less than 2 meters from the bins. He smokes that ciggy dry and flicks it at my bins and wanders back to his nest. Had to do something first, but I had to give him a chance. So the next day I head off, I synced it with his smoking habit and waited for the ping from the app. Sure enough, there he was on rinse and repeat mode. Not wanting to risk startling him and have him scatter like the cockroach he was, I went out the back door and around the side of the house and towards the front. As I approached, he had just finished up, flicked the butt at the bins, and stood up as he turned around to find me. The proverbial deer in the headlights as he spotted me doesn't quite cover it. What felt like an eternity after he just processed that he just got busted. "What do you want?" escaped from his lips. I just asked, "Mate, if you're gonna do that, at least smother the butt and put it in the bin." All this Bogan trash could reply with was, "You don't own this part of the strip, council does." He shoves past me, walks across the road, and returns to his nest. Game on. So that camera, it supports dumping events to a NAS network address storage. Files get time and date stamped. Every time this prick went out to smoke, it secretly took his photo. Smoking and flicking the butt at the bin, all I had to do was buy bulk Ziploc bags and just dump the butts in them and write the time and date on them. If they wanted evidence, so be it. They can have it. This is what I did for a year. Collect his butts, write the time and date on the bag, and show it to the camera for authenticity. And leave so many butts. I wanted this, he wanted this, and who was I to deny him? 365 days in a year. Could I make it that far? The box was just about full of butts and bags, and it is only day 345. It's so close, but the stench, I had to do it. So I boiled a kettle and made a thermos of coffee. If I have to get up during the reporting of this, it's to pee. So I sorted through the photos on the NAS drive and I started prepping for the reporting. Report a Tosser, brilliant website branding, used it a couple of times before, and it took a few minutes to make a post last time. So I logged in and started each one by one, 345, but it had to be done. One after one, the cycle repeated, 200 to go, 100 to go, 50 on the home stretch now. Was that enough? No! The image of his Olympic gold medal had to be reduced to ashes. He was not gonna get away with this. Carpal tunnel be damned, it had to be done. Finally, after the last 50, I was done. I felt euphoric, exhausted, and pretty damned proud of myself. So I went and crashed in bed, or so I thought. Ping. My phone just got an email. Ping again, ping. Is this Reddit post going viral? Ping. Oh, it's an email from Report a Tosser confirming the reports. Ping. Is this automated or is this some poor human? Sorry, whomever that was. The only casualty in this strike was meant to be my neighbor. Ping. Coming from Android, that little D&D switch on an iPhone is awesome. It took a few days, but one day I got the hint something was going down. First, he got a letterbox stuffed with mail. That's weird. The next day, some angry noises were coming from the house, like real loud. It sounded like a huge blow-up between him and the missus. Thankfully, someone who lived next to him called the police and shut them up for a bit. And then the notice, WTF did I do? Oh, they're sending a request for the box of butts. Okay, post them off and be done with it. The final day. I thought I was having a stroke. This can't be real. I've never seen him in a suit. Oh yeah, legal. They wanted the butts. He took the go to court option. Now on the website it specified $250 for an individual offense. But I had no clue to, well, 345 offenses? Well, let's just say he left for the day and did not return. But eventually, a moving truck turned up, and out came the internals of the house. TV, fridge, sofa, bed, angry-looking woman, crying kids. Okay, I feel a little bad for them, but considering who spawned them, not so much an ounce of regret. Eventually, I found out that he took a plea deal for community service, and a whopping fine for jail time, upon which his wife left him. So does, for better for worse, not mean anything, but considering what she had, it was probably for the better, and any interaction I had with her was far better than her gold medalist. But that was all I could gather. He's having to burn the candle at both ends for both the fine community service and child support. So, confession time. I remember a few years ago, I was outside of a movie theater. It was dark and there was a crowd, and it was the premiere of Star Wars Episode 1, and yes, I was one of the guys dressed as Darth Vader. So going to the movies for me, it's a fun experience. I have a lot of great memories doing it. And you know what's also great? Saving money. That's where Regal Unlimited comes into play. It is a pretty sweet all-you-can-watch movie subscription pass that pays for itself in just 2 visits. You get any standard 2D movie anytime, no blackout dates or restrictions. And if you want a premium format like IMAX, you get it at a reduced cost. You also get concessions, the non-alcoholic kind, like popcorn, 10% off. So if you're thinking about 2 movies this month, join Regal Unlimited. Sign up now in the Regal app or go to regmovies.com. That's regmovies.com/unlimited. Use promo code RRShowReg. So regmovies.com, that's regmovies.com/unlimited, and use promo code RRShowReg. Darth Vader costume optional. All right, venturing on from r/NuclearRevenge, we're going to go into r/TIFU. This one posted by Sweeve10. TIFU by throwing a snowball at my own car. This morning, I was across the street joking around and chatting it up with my neighbor. We got a lot of snow in our area last week that's starting to melt as the temperature has finally gone well above freezing. So the snow packs exceptionally well and creates a pretty solid, but still soft snowball that you can get some pretty good distance and velocity on. We were standing there talking about things such as the NFL games on yesterday, local news, the Roman Empire, just guy stuff. I was, per usual, being ADHD and just kind of playing around with the snow on his driveway while we communicated. I packed up a nice little snowball, and while we were talking, I said, "You owe me $10 if I can hit my windshield." To to which she quickly obliged as my car was parked backwards in my driveway directly across from us and served as a perfect target. My fiance was, lucky for her, not outside, or she would have been my first target. So I hucked it across the street, I'd say about 125 feet, as it felt like the distance between third and first base, and hit it square and center in the windshield and was laughing away. I played collegiate baseball and still can wing it, but this was just kind of a lob toss and was a pretty light snowball, so I didn't think it would hurt much. A few moments later, as the snow slowly slipped down the windshield, I noticed what was a new glimmer on the windshield from the direct sunlight. I immediately thought, no way did I just crack it. As we walked over there, it was apparent that I did, in fact, put a 10-inch crack right in the center of the windshield that now has spiderwebbed even further. The only thing my neighbor said was, before slowly shuffling back to his home and shaking his head, was, well, I'll bring you $10 later, but that looks like you're gonna need it for that windshield, my friend. I'm not sure how difficult it will be to replace, as it may not be a common windshield sitting around at a local shop, and I'm sure it will continue to get worse. With the angle that it's at, it creates a glimmer whenever I'm driving in direct sunlight that is similar to the light that you get from a refraction when you use a magnifying glass to burn ants. And it's currently doing that to my eyes. Lesson of the story is, sometimes it's fun to let those intrusive childhood thoughts win over. But hucking a snowball at your own vehicle is not one of those times. Next time, I'll use my adept snowfall throwing skills for good reasons, like sniping my neighbor Jan's stupid Pomeranian Tiffany, who won't stop barking outside at 4 a.m. Or maybe hunting down the neighborhood bullies like who keep leaving juice boxes in my mailbox. Our next story comes from Ancient Educator 76, also from TIFU. This one, TIFU by making an interactive Valentine's Day card for my wife. Well, this is what I get for dialing it in. I'm an algebra teacher by day, drive-through operator by night, and hopeless romantic in every spare moment I get. I used to be super creative with my gifts of love, like handcrafted soaps in the letters of my love's name. A list of 23 reasons why I love her. Before lists were super cool or whatever, okay? Maybe this one isn't so creative, but she loved it. Cute drawings of her favorite cartoon characters and colors and all that jazz. Since I got into teaching, I've gotten into the habit of stealing ideas from the school setting or using gift cards given to me to re-gift to the missus. Even those go over pretty well, she ain't picky and she knows I love her. This time around, however, not only did I let the cat out of the bag a bit early, but come to find out that this cat happens to be one that she's severely allergic to, manifesting as a snarky, angry, argumentative rash. Downright sardonic, to be honest. I've awakened a side of this woman I've rarely seen, and never in my last decade and a half of marriage, the first 5 years of marriage, sure, I was an asshole, but I should have thought about this one. The idea I had was, again, a copy of an idea I received as a teacher. Each teacher received a bingo card from the social committee, and each space had an issue or situation that teachers have to deal with on a regular basis. Like, received a 500-plus word email from a parent, fell asleep at a meeting, or technology issues during a formal evaluation, shortened to a tech fail to fit into the space. It was pretty creative, and each email we got called a number. That was a specific situation, and the winner won a prize, the first one at bingo. Well, I got the brilliant idea to make a similar bingo card called my wife's name Bingo, making up categories for each space based on things that are legitimate stresses she has to deal with on the regular, or things that are specific to her. I made a legend where if she gets a bingo, she picks 3 additional chores for me to do. Coverall being lady's choice, and 4 corners being blankopoly, a certain version of Monopoly, but if she lands on free parking, she has to roll the dice and put 1 of 6 body parts on 1 of 6 of mine. If I land on free parking, it's the opposite. Now that was a fun present for the both of us. Here's the crux of the F-up. The category/spaces I chose: lose at bunco, hit snooze one too many times, argue in a grocery store, talking to a sleeping man, yelling names, unpaid Uber day, last minute change of plans, credit card juggling, scoop cat litter, and a few more that are even lower stakes, so I thought. So another part of the F up was that I was using my laptop, literally on my lap during our shows, Law & Order, Organized Crime, and I chose to switch tabs to my wife's name, Bingo. Add a couple more categories I haven't thought of yet. This caught the wifey's attention, so she leaned over to look as I inched away from her like I was looking at Cornhub. She smiled for a second, then after about 3 seconds, she frowned, stared at me, then leaned back in her seat looking defeated. I looked at her about the same way a dog looks at his owner the first time said owner farts. I was confused, I suppose. I didn't say anything about being confused, but she evidently sensed it. So she dug right in, saying, "Look, you're the only reason I fight in the grocery store. I yell the names because it's the only way kids get up, and I hit snooze because I'm exhausted, okay?" She then categorically defended every square with precision. I swear, in order, top to bottom, left to right. She was impressive. I've never been so amazed while being assigned a new sleeping surface. I could say that I hit a nerve, but evidently I managed to hit all of them. As she aggressively loads the dishwasher, I wonder what sort of miracle it's going to take to fix this spousal PR nightmare before Valentine's Day. As you can read, the fallout is continuously falling as I type this. So this next one is from r/PettyRevenge. From user supportill5821. Leave a mess at dorm, move out. My freshman year, I lived with a guy in a dorm. It was student overflow housing because we both had terrible ADD and didn't get our paperwork in on time. It's basically an office room in the building, which was much bigger than the other rooms. It was shaped like an L. The long part was probably 30 by 15 feet, and the short was probably 10 by 15. And he would spend his days playing beer pong in the room, playing video games, getting high. He never picked up anything. There were cups full of moldy beer on his side of the room, weed stems and seeds growing everywhere, blunt wrappers, spilled beer. He had bought a Foreman grill, and there was burger grease dripping down his mini fridge and onto the floor. He went to maybe class like 3 total times all year. The first semester, he failed all his classes and told the dean and his parents that he was just having a hard time adjusting to college and the workload. Second semester, he told the school and his parents he had mono and never had the energy to attend class. While we had been cool the first semester, his living in filth and not doing anything made me seek friends elsewhere. I spent the majority of my time outside the room. Since there was no point in him attending finals, about a week before finals, he checked out of the room. I had been out of town for a final race for the year, so I wasn't around. It was like he took a piece of tape, marked out a 5-foot buffer around his bed, and cleared it out, leaving everything else for me. If it were a normal roommate situation, I would have been fine with it, except there were moldy beers he had hidden in the square dresser where he thought he was going to get busted for playing beer pong. Weed seeds, stems all over the windowsill from him. The aforementioned grease from the Foreman was pooled on the floor. I never used it. He had left rotting pizza under the futon. I don't eat pepperoni, and it was all pepperoni. While I had to clean up for myself, the level of foul filth was all on him. I tried calling him to get him to come clean his crap out. No answer, ring once or twice, and voicemail. He never responded to the message. Texted him, no response. He was clearly avoiding the call. I talked to the RA, and he said I was SOL, as the roommate had said everything left was mine. Unless there was something we could do to link him directly, I was now responsible. Did I mention his parents were conservative Christians, and I knew where his mom worked? I left her a nice voicemail explaining that I had been trying to reach her son, but was having a hard time getting through. If she would please have her son come and pick up his marijuana seeds, his porno mag, his moldy beer pong cups, and the like, because I shouldn't have to clean up after him, as he had never attended class all semester. And that it shouldn't be a big imposition since he would have the time to come clean since he wasn't taking any of the finals. He left a magazine with his name and address on it, and I had the RA write him up for not properly cleaning out his space. I never heard back directly from his mom. I did, though, get an angry text from him, saying I was a traitor and I should have handled it like a man, which was ironic, and that I should hope I wouldn't run into him the following year at school. It was a big enough school that it was entirely possible to not run into him, especially if he never attended classes, but I never saw him again. I would be interested to know what became of him because a Google search turned up nothing. So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince. Thank you to my producer, Kevin, and we'll see you next time here on The RR Show.